A few days up the Labour meeting, one of Jeremy Corbyn's shut allies offered to me the would be the 1 week how would show if Mr. Corbyn has very converted the Labour side. If he intended the promises he done to his supporters while swearing to give in a truly brand new type of policy. So, Jeremy Corbyn has modified. His son Ben said us present, following his dad speaking, how he was smooth currently, or, with emotion, he declared, down there was a new centre growing. An affirmative, Labour has modified. Looking out onto the crowds singing his behalf, their lead could be certainly how room, how auditorium, is over him. Following 3 years of anxiety, in several MPs hard to shoot him, Mr. Corbyn, or his crew, include nearly full monitoring above his side and its mechanisms. MPs who were portion of his previous mandrill of loyalists are clearly encouraged. MPs who hopelessness of the management are mostly suppressed, obedient to weight it of, as one outlined it. Following the general poll recent year, and taking into account the deep ambiguity in our policy order now, dissent are uncertain if their warnings how he could never win force were completely, and extremely, incorrect. The bitter among the two sides is yet down there, but the urgent has disappeared. As one inside outlined it, while you struggle all the period, he's fair grueling. To a degree, such Labour human beings who battled Corbyn and his ecstatic supporters are just too weary of it order now to conduct on. But conduct on a min, not all has lost on to the scenario. The guideline changes how would do it facilitating for activists to changing MPs, facilitating for members to include a say above politics, facilitating for members to impact the sides line, did not broom via out of barrier. And in installation politics via the domestic politics message board, official trial, or hard to impact Labour in regional by the government, or change the choice rules, the changes how were intended to add up to a wholesaler conversion of the side include not lost as far as initially designed. How's partially since while you scrape under the shallow, down there's a deep discussion event in all components of the Labour side on which comes following. Certainly, in the instant next, they are encouraging how a general poll could come out of several chaos position Brexit voice, how could see them trip in force. But everything the brief period brings, in all its unexpected scenarios, down there is as well a talk on the length period. Several elder figures truly trust how the changes how include been forged so far are fair the start. The next for Labour, they claim, is in a massive motion wherever members include the monitoring. In the upbeat release of the, Labour could construct an completely new pattern for UK policy, in Jeremy Corbyn as the character for how new styling, wherever members of the social who select to accede the side include their tell. The more dark script how could come, several MPs' terror, is how quite rather than conducting their period stimulating their opponents in Westminster, scrutinising politics and presenting all their tripartite constituents, they are consumption by a semi-permanent campaigning to hold regional activists lucky, in procedure to hold their jobs. He's facilitating to claim for more accountable and more democratic state, but such careful on the concept claim he's fair simple naive to think how such changes would not include a deep and adverse effect on the job MPs do in Parliament. And down there are frustrations on both of sides. Lot of human beings, if in the Parliament side or in the unions, or in Pulse, or regional side standard, are conclusion person frustrations. He's cost noted how the unions include been a big portion of the unit on several of the more than sweep changes how Jeremy Corbyn's supporters requested. Affirmative, he has had key supporting of such big sounding in procedure to hold his job in the recent few year, especially urgent yet is the vote of Len McCluskey, but the unions include, no question, attached the brakes on several of the things how could include happened. Exactly in the identical way they tested to do in early times. As one dark office secretary told, this order of the side never controlled to fully conquer the unions, the leftward win to do it each. They yet pay the billing. The painful fights on changes to the guideline or how guideline, and association impedance to them, are not on which happens to Jeremy Corbyn, but on which comes following. One elder drawing said me, I'd quite gambling on the next management of the unions rather than on a enormous bundle of activists. Labour has modified, and modified sharply, but several things remain the identical. Down there is a tremble in the airborne, not on Mr. Corbyn's management, Labour has done an restless world in how, but on which remnant while his days as lead are above. In flying policy times, of year, events, quite rather than Labour's own dilemmas, are potential to form which happens. But for Liverpool the 1 week, for the bang, for the room, down there is a issue creature requested in Labour circles, is Jeremy Corbyn's management the begin, or the late?